Welcome to our deep dive, all about medical AI. We've got a whole bunch of new research papers.
Oh, wow.
And
That's great.
It's amazing some of the stuff they're doing with AI now.
It is, yeah.
Like
Haley,
helping doctors work faster,
yeah.
diagnose diseases earlier,
hmm
potentially even discover new molecules.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly this field is changing.
Right.
And what I think is really cool is that they're using AI to solve, like,
Yeah,
real human problems in healthcare.
totally. And, one thing that I think is a huge problem for a lot of doctors is all the time they have to spend on
Oh, yeah.
medical coding.
Right.
So the first paper we're going to talk about today is by Terizo Chomotare, Therese Olsen-Svenning, Miguel Angel Tejador Hernandez, Phuong Din Ngo, Andreas Budrianis, Kaisa Marjung, Little Irene Hind, Torbjörn Torsvik, Carl Ivan Mikkelsen, Alexander Babik, and Hercules Dalianis.
Wow, that's a lot of authors.
All right.
Must have been quite a team.
Big team, big paper. And they decided to try and tackle this problem with an AI tool called EasyICD.
So clinical coding, it's like the thing that turns medical diagnoses and procedures into those codes.
Right, the standardized one.
Yeah, like the ones on your medical bills.
Exactly.
It's really important for billing and research and tracking public health trends. But for doctors, it can be a total time suck.
So EasyICD, does it like magically generate those codes for the doctors or?
Well, not magically,
Okay.
but it is pretty impressive.
Okay.
So Chomatar and the team, they found that EasyICD, it didn't really improve the accuracy of the coding, but it did something that's maybe even better.
Okay.
It cut the coding time for like the complex cases
Yeah.
by almost half.
Wow.
So imagine you go to the doctor and instead of waiting weeks for your insurance to process your claim,
Yeah.
it happens way faster because the coding's done so quickly.
That's a huge difference.
All right.
Yeah, that's a huge impact.
That's real world impact.
Yeah, exactly. Less waiting, less hassle, and hopefully more time for doctors to actually.
E-doctors.
Yeah, doctor. But it's not just administrative tasks where AI is making a difference.
Right.
What about keeping up with all the new medical research? I can't even keep up with my social media feed.
I know, right? It's impossible.
Like, forget all the medical studies coming out every day.
Exactly. Way too much.
There's just too much.
There is.
So this is why I thought the next paper was really interesting.
Okay.
This is from Zifeng, Wang, Lang Cao, Benjamin Danik, Cao Jin, Jiang Lu, and Jimeng Sun. And they developed an AI system called Trialmind that helps doctors synthesize clinical evidence.
Right.
Basically, it helps them make sense of all that research.
Yeah, like a research assistant.
Totally.
A super-powered one.
Super-powered research assistant that can go through all those studies.
Sifting through them.
Yeah.
Finding the good ones.
Pulling out the key information.
Exactly.
Sign me up. But how well does it actually work? Is it all hype or is it the real deal?
Okay. So this is where it gets really cool.
Okay.
They actually tested Trialmind against both human experts
Okay.
and another very powerful AI, GPT-4.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one, GPT-4.
Yeah.
The AI that can write poems and music and probably do like a Rubik's Cube in its spare time?
Probably, yeah. Maybe even a Sudoku.
Uh-huh, maybe.
So how did it do? Well, Trialmind actually did better than GPT-4 on some tasks,
Right.
like screening studies and extracting data. But here's the really interesting part. When it came to presenting the evidence visually,
Okay.
in a thing called a forest plot, the medical experts preferred Trialmind's output over GPT-4's.
Interesting.
So that kind of suggests that AI might not just be good at processing information,
Yeah.
but also at presenting it in a way that's really helpful for humans to make decisions.
Whoa. So it's not just about crunching the numbers. It's about understanding how doctors think and what information they need to make good decisions for their patients.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing. But enough about the nitty-gritty of clinical work. Let's move on to something a bit more visual medical imaging.
Ooh, I like this.
X-rays, MRIs, CT scans, all those things that let doctors see inside the human body.
Yeah, medical imaging is definitely another area where AI is going to be huge.
Right.
It's a field that relies on specialists to interpret images.
Yeah,
And even then, there's always room for error.
for sure.
Humans make mistakes.
Totally. But before we get into specific applications of AI in medical imaging,
Okay.
how do we even know if an AI-processed image is reliable?
Right. That's a good question.
I mean, we're talking about people's health here.
Absolutely. You don't want the AI messing that up.
Exactly. This is what Clemens Karner, Janet Grohl, Ian Selby, Judith Babar, Jake Beckford, Thomas R. Else, Timothy J. Sadler, Shahav Shepasand, Arthika Thevakumar, Michael Roberts, James H. F. Red, Krola Bibian Shanidlib, Jonathan R. Weir-McCall, and Anna Breger were looking at in their research.
Another big team.
Right. They were looking at something called image quality assessment.
Oh,
Basically like a quality control check
Yeah.
for AI-processed medical images.
right. So making sure the AI isn't just like
Yeah.
spitting out random pixels and saying, that's your diagnosis.
Exactly. Exactly.
So they found that evaluating the quality of these AI-generated medical images,
yeah.
you have to do it differently than how you would evaluate normal photos.
Oh, okay.
Medical images, they have unique characteristics. They're
Yeah.
used for very specific purposes,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to be absolutely sure that they're accurate for diagnosis and treatment.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
The stakes are a lot higher when it comes to medical imaging.
definitely.
Okay, so Now that we know AI is at least passing its quality control tests,
Hopefully.
let's talk about some specific applications.
Okay, yeah.
What about using AI to diagnose dementia?
That's a big one.
Yeah, it affects millions of people.
It does.
And early diagnosis is so important.
It is, yeah, for managing symptoms and planning for the future.
Exactly.
And actually, it can be really hard to tell the difference between different types of dementia. Oh, really?
Like Alzheimer's disease and frontotemporal dementia.
I didn't realize that.
It's tricky.
Wow.
So Yutong Li, Morteza Garamani, Yusuf Wali, and Christian Wachinger developed an AI model called Diamond to try and address this.
Diamond.
Yeah.
Sounds fancy. What's so special about it?
Well, Diamond uses both MRI and PET scans
Oh, wow.
to look at the brain and try to find the signs that can differentiate between those different types of dementia.
Okay.
It uses these cool techniques like vision transformers.
I've heard of those, but I don't really understand what they are.
Basically, it helps the AI make sense of the complicated patterns in both those types of scans.
So it's like giving the AI a superpower.
Yeah, like an X-ray vision for the brain.
Right. To see things that even the best human doctors might miss.
Yeah, something like that.
And how well does it actually work?
It actually works really well.
Okay.
Diamond outperformed other existing methods,
Wow.
getting over 92% accuracy for Alzheimer's diagnosis.
That's incredible. And over 76% for telling the difference between Alzheimer's and frontotemporal dementia.
Those numbers are really encouraging.
Yeah, it's promising.
Early and accurate diagnosis can make a world of difference for these patients and their families.
It can, definitely.
It gives them more time to plan and access the support they need.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about improving existing tasks, is it?
Right.
Researchers are also pushing the limits of what AI can do in healthcare.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the next batch of papers that we're going to talk about
Okay.
looks at how AI is being used to tackle data challenges, identify unknown molecules, and even potentially personalize treatment.
Okay. This is getting exciting.
Yeah, it's going to get even more interesting.
Cool. So let's dive into a paper by Nabil Sidat and Michaela van der Schaar.
Okay.
They developed this really interesting AI model called Matchmaker.
Matchmaker, what does that do?
So it tackles this huge problem in healthcare.
Okay.
Data silos.
Data silos, like the ones you see on farms?
Not quite those silos, but the idea is similar.
Okay.
Think of it like all this important patient data
Yeah.
locked away in different systems, hospitals, clinics, research labs,
Got it.
and they all speak different data languages.
Oh, right, like different formats and stuff.
Exactly. So Matchmaker,
Yeah.
it's like a universal translator for these data sets.
It's so instead of grain,
Right.
we're talking about medical records and lab results and imaging data.
Exactly. All that crucial information
Yeah.
that you need to really understand healthcare.
So why is this such a big deal? Like, why do we need this universal translator?
Well, to develop good AI models, you need lots and lots of data.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if the data's all over the place
Yeah,
and doesn't really fit together, it's like,
like trying to put together a puzzle where the pieces don't match.
yeah. Or bake a cake
Okay.
with the flour in one container, the
Yeah.
sugar in another, and the eggs like scattered on the counter.
Okay, I get
You
it.
need to bring it all together
That's what Matchmaker does.
to make a delicious healthcare cake. But what about patient privacy? I'm pretty careful with my medical information.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And lots of people feel that way.
Yeah.
And researchers are trying to figure out how to deal with this problem.
Okay.
There's this other paper by Xiaochen Wang, Jackie Wang, Huping Xiao, Jinghui Chen, and Fenglong Ma.
Another big team.
Yeah, and they developed this approach called FEDKIM.
FEDKIM. What's that?
So it uses something called Federated Learning.
Okay.
So imagine you have a bunch of hospitals,
Mm-hmm.
and they each have all their own patient data,
Right.
which is obviously sensitive.
Yeah.
So instead of putting all that data together in one place.
Right. Which would be a huge privacy risk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
FEDKIM lets you train an AI model on data from all these different hospitals
Okay.
without actually moving the data.
So each hospital keeps their own data.
Yeah, it stays where it is.
But the AI can still learn from all of it.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It is. It's like having your privacy cake and eating it too.
Yeah, I like that.
So we've got AI helping with admin stuff,
Right.
synthesizing research,
Mm-hmm.
and even protecting privacy.
Yep.
What else is there?
Okay, let's talk about something a little different.
Okay.
Using AI to identify unknown molecules.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, remember mass spectrometers from chemistry class?
Vaguely.
Those big, complicated machines that could
Yeah.
analyze anything.
Right, break things down into their molecules.
Exactly. Mass spectrometry is a powerful tool,
Okay.
but the data, it's not always easy to understand.
So we need AI to help with that.
Yeah. Roman Bushwiv, Anton Bushwiv, Nick F. de Jong, Adamo Young, Fleming Kretschmer, Raman Samuzovic, Jana Herman, Fei Wang, Luke Zhang, Kai Dukop, Marcus Ludwig, Niels A. Haupt, Apurva Kalia, Corinna Brungs, Robin Schmid, Russell Greiner, Bo Wang, David S. Wishart, Liping Liu, Juho Rousseau, Walt Bittermew, Hannes Rost, Titus D. Mack, Soha Hassoun, Florian Huber, Justin J.J. Vanderhooft, Michael A. Strav, Sebastian Bucker, Yusuf Civic, and Tomasz Pascal. They all worked on this.
Wow, another huge team.
It was a big project.
Okay, so what did they do?
They developed MassSpecGym.
MassSpecGym. Okay, what's that?
It's like a testing ground for AI algorithms that analyze mass spectrometry data.
Okay.
Like a virtual laboratory where different AI models can compete.
Compete to do what?
To see which one's best at identifying unknown molecules.
Like a molecular detective competition.
Yeah, something like that.
Why is this important?
Well, imagine if you could quickly identify the molecules in a patient's blood.
Yeah.
It could lead to faster diagnosis.
Okay.
More personalized treatments.
And even new drug discoveries.
Exactly.
Now we're talking. That's the kind of future I'm excited about.
Yeah, it's definitely promising.
But we can't just assume that AI is going to solve all our problems in healthcare.
Right. It's important to be realistic.
Well, what are some of the challenges with medical AI? What are the things we need to be careful about?
Well, one thing that worries a lot of people is this idea of AI hallucinations.
Yeah, that's a bit creepy.
Yeah, it's where the AI makes stuff up, but sounds really confident about it.
Right, like it actually believes its own lies.
Exactly.
It's funny when it's, a chatbot writing a silly poem.
Yeah.
But not so funny if it's like giving medical advice.
Yeah. In healthcare, those hallucinations, they could be really dangerous.
For sure.
Like, imagine an AI confidently recommending a treatment that's based on fake research.
Yikes, that's scary.
Yeah.
So how do we even start to fix that problem?
Well, one thing researchers are trying to do is to figure out if AI actually understands how the real world works. Like, basic common sense.
Exactly, like knowing that you can't walk through walls or that gravity makes things fall down.
Right, things that we just know as humans.
Yeah, so this one study by Matteo G. Mekataf, Ben Slater, Marco Tesic, Jonathan Printy, Konstantinos Voudoris, and Lucy G. Cheek.
Okay.
They looked at this like physical common sense of large language models.
Okay.
They used a simulated 3D environment to test it, and it turned out that even these really advanced AI models, they were worse than human children at things like estimating distances.
Really?
Yeah, and using tools.
Wow, so kids have a better grasp of reality than AI.
In some ways, yeah.
That's kind of reassuring, actually.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that AI still has a lot to learn.
Okay, so besides teaching AI common sense, what else can we do to stop it from hallucinating?
Another thing researchers are working on is combining these large language models with something called knowledge graphs.
Knowledge graphs?
Yeah, it's basically a database of facts.
Okay, so it gives the AI something to check its answers against, to make sure it's not just making things up.
Like a built-in fact checker.
Exactly.
That's smart.
Larissa Push and Tim Of Conrad, they looked into this.
Okay.
And their research showed that using a knowledge graph can really help.
To reduce those hallucinations.
Yep.
Okay, so that's good news.
It is.
But what about the more human side of healthcare?
Right.
Can AI actually help with things like mental health counseling?
Well, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And it's one that researchers are being very careful about. Viet Kwam Nguyen, Mohammed Taher, Dongwon Hong, Vinicius Kanpalix Pasabam, Vibha Thirunalai Gopalakrishnan, Ekta Raj, Zihan Lei, Heather J. Sold, Michael L. Birnbaum, Srijan Kumar, and Munmunda Chowdhury.
Another big team.
Yeah.
They did this study
Yeah.
to see how well AI could do at mental health counseling.
Right.
Did they give it a tiny couch and tell it to analyze its dreams?
No, not quite.
Okay.
They use this thing called Counseling Bench to see if AI could actually do the things that good counselors do.
Okay, so what were the results?
It was kind of a mixed bag.
Really?
Yeah, the AI models were able to pass some basic tests, like showing some basic counseling skills, but they weren't as good as human therapists.
That makes sense.
Especially when it came to things like empathy.
Right.
Understanding the nuances of human emotions.
I mean, it's hard to imagine AI really getting that.
Yeah, it's a very human thing.
So maybe AI could be used as like a first step
Yeah, maybe.
for people who don't have access to a therapist.
That's definitely possible.
Yeah.
But it really highlights the fact that we have to be careful about how we use AI in healthcare.
That it's a tool, not a replacement for humans.
Exactly.
Speaking of things that can be hard to understand.
Okay.
What about all the jargon in healthcare?
Oh, yeah, the medical language.
It's like a foreign language sometimes.
It is. It can be very confusing.
Even for someone like me, who actually likes reading about science.
Yeah.
So Chao Jiang and Wei Zhu, they've been working on this.
Okay.
They developed this system called MedReadMe that's supposed to make medical language easier to understand.
Yeah, it analyzes medical texts.
Okay.
And finds the parts that are probably hard for people to understand.
That's great.
The goal is to create tools that can simplify all that information.
Yeah.
So patients can really understand what's going on and be more involved in their healthcare.
Absolutely. Everyone deserves to understand what's happening with their health,
I agree.
no matter how much medical knowledge they have.
Definitely.
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of medical AI.
It has.
We've seen how it can make healthcare more efficient, more accurate, more personalized, and even more accessible.
Yeah, and it's all happening so fast.
Right. It's really amazing to see how quickly this field is evolving.
It really is.
But like we've been talking about, we need to be cautious too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We need to make sure that AI is developed and used responsibly with human oversight. and always with the best interests of patients in mind.
Absolutely.
So to our listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
And we want to leave you with this thought. How do you think these AI advancements are going to change your life, your health, and the future of medicine?
Something to think about.
Yeah, because it's a future that we're all shaping together.
And it's important to stay informed and ask questions.
Absolutely. Keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.